I did something unforgivable to the one person who trusted me most. Sometimes I tell myself it was survival, other times I know it was pure selfishness. Either way, I can't undo it, and they'll never forgive me.
Welcome to Reddit Toxic Family Telltales channel. New episode every day.
My sister-in-law, she didn't just cross a line, she obliterated it. She took the names of every single baby I miscarried and gave them to her own kids like trophies. And when I finally made it into the 3rd trimester with another pregnancy, she swapped out my prenatal vitamins, poisoned them, just to make sure I lost that baby too. And the wildest part? She honestly thought I wouldn't fight back, that I wouldn't ruin her entire life over it. What's the sweetest revenge you've ever tasted? For me, it all started with one thing: raw dogging my enemy's brother. For years, I lived with the cruelest kind of infertility. Not can't get pregnant at all. Worse, I get halfway through, 2nd trimester, before my baby slipped away. 3 times it happened. 3 times I lost a piece of myself. Most of the family was supportive. Most of them, but not Sarah. Not my sister-in-law. The first time it happened, I sobbed in her lap. She stroked my hair, promised she'd always be there, even told me I'd be godmother to her baby. I believed her. I thought we were close. 2 weeks later at her baby shower, she stood up beaming and announced her daughter's name. Faye. My Faye. The exact name I'd picked for my unborn little girl. My throat closed up. I asked her why, and she laughed. Actually squealed, and said, "Well, it's not like you were gonna use it." That sentence cut deeper than any knife. I told my husband, desperate for backup. He laughed, thought it was nothing. Men can be so clueless sometimes. On the drive home, I explained again, but he just sighed. He's the type who grew up as the family scapegoat. The kind of man who'd get robbed on the street and apologize for not having more money to hand over. "That's just how she is, honey," he said. So I told myself maybe my daughter's name could at least live on in another child. I tried to let it go. I threw myself into Pilates, green smoothies, fertility hacks. Nothing worked. Another pregnancy, another baby gone. And then, like twisting the knife, Sarah posted a photo welcoming her new son. "Welcome baby James. Thanks to Emma for the name inspiration. Her loss is my gain." She even added a pregnant emoji and a skull emoji. Who does that? By the time she stole my 3rd unborn daughter's name, Charlotte, I didn't even cry. She sent me pictures of her nursery with captions like, "Bet you wish this could be for your Charlotte." And my husband, he still defended her. Told me I was too sensitive. Too sensitive. After 4 years, I stopped hoping. I stopped praying. I stopped imagining myself as a mom. But Sarah didn't stop. She got pregnant again, and at family dinner she joked about which name she should steal next. Everyone laughed. Everyone except me. That night, something inside me snapped. If she wanted another name, I'd give her one she'd never forget. At the next family gathering, I pulled Sarah aside, tears rolling down my face. I told her I'd found something in my late mother's diary. A secret family name no one else knew. Lexitiva. I said it meant sacred child in some ancient language. I even forged diary pages, made Pinterest boards, built a whole fake history. Sarah believed me instantly. She ran with it. She told the world she was naming her baby Lexitiva Rose to honor her family's sacred past. That felt like victory. Sweet, satisfying victory. And then, life surprised me. 8 months later, I was pregnant again. This time, 3rd trimester. I cried when I saw the ultrasound. My husband and I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. We wanted to protect this one. And then, as if the universe had a twisted sense of humor, Sarah sent out invitations to her baby shower. I went, wore a loose dress that hid my belly. Sarah had pulled out all the stops. It looked like a royal event. Family, friends, her entire mommy blog cult was there, all waiting to celebrate baby Lexitiva. She gave a whole speech about how deeply honored she was to discover this sacred family name. And that's when I stood up. "Actually, Sarah," I said, smoothing down my dress, "I have something to share too." The room froze. Sarah's jaw dropped mid-sentence. My mother-in-law's champagne glass hit the floor. 29 weeks today, I said, cradling my stomach. "We wanted to be sure this time." The room erupted. Cheers, hugs, congratulations. Sarah looked like she was about to faint. And then my husband, sweet, passive, never speak up husband, delivered the knockout. "Sarah, didn't you say Lexitiva means sacred child in some ancient language? That's so weird, because when I Google it," he held up his phone, "all I see are constipation relief websites." The silence was thick. My chest burned trying not to laugh. We walked out hand in hand, and for once, I felt like I'd won. But at 4 a.m. a few nights later, I woke to the same stabbing pain I'd felt 3 times before. We rushed to the hospital. But deep down, I already knew. Another miscarriage. This time, tests showed one of my prenatal gummies had been swapped with something deadly. And who had been in my house just 2 days earlier helping with the nursery? Sarah. The police said there wasn't enough proof. The vitamin bottle vanished. The hospital couldn't identify what had been used. But my husband, he finally believed me. He sat on our bed, shaking, turning the empty bottle we'd found in the trash over and over in his hands. His sister had killed our baby. That was the moment I stopped being her victim. I started documenting everything. Every text, every post, every smirk. My laptop turned into a crime board, evidence piling higher every day. And the deeper I dug, the clearer it became. Sarah wasn't just cruel. She was calculated, dangerous. And this was only the beginning. That night, my husband and I made a choice. We were done letting Sarah twist reality. Done letting her smear me while hiding behind her fake perfect mom mask. We called a family meeting at my mother-in-law's house. We told everyone we had important news to share. Sarah strutted in looking smug, like she thought we were finally coming to apologize, maybe even admit defeat. But she had no idea what was waiting for her. My husband hooked his laptop to the TV. Slide after slide, we laid everything bare. The journal entries, the screenshots from Sarah's own computer, the testimony her own husband had given us. Even Faye's trembling little voice, recorded as she admitted Sarah forced her and her siblings to lie. The room was silent. The deeper we went, the faster Sarah's face changed. Smug to nervous, nervous to furious. When the slide came up about her poisoning the cat, my mother-in-law gasped so loud it echoed. "Whiskers didn't just die," she whispered. Sarah shot up from her chair, voice shrill. "It's all fake. They're framing me because they're jealous of my perfect family." But then her husband stood. His voice was quiet, broken. "It's true. Every word of it. I've seen the original journal. Sarah, you need help." That was the breaking point. The dam burst. One by one, family members began sharing their own horror stories of Sarah's cruelty. Moments they'd buried, brushed aside, or been too afraid to say aloud. Suddenly, the pattern was undeniable. And Sarah? Her mask shattered completely. She screamed, calling everyone liars, traitors, snakes. She grabbed a vase and hurled it at the wall, glass exploding everywhere. "You want to destroy me?" she shrieked, eyes wild, locking onto me. "You barren witch. You'll never have what I have. Never." Her son James started crying. "Mom, stop. You're scaring us." But Sarah wasn't finished. She lunged straight at me, nails out, snarling. This time, I didn't move. My husband and hers had to drag her off as she clawed at my face, spitting words I'll never forget. "I should have used something stronger in those vitamins. I should have made sure you could never try again." The room froze. Even Sarah realized, too late, what she just admitted. My father-in-law's voice was ice. "Get out of my house. Don't come back." Sarah looked around, her children, her husband, her family. Every single one staring at her with disgust and horror. "Fine," she spat. "But I'm taking my children." "No," her husband said firmly. "Kids, come here." All four ran to him. Even little Lexitiva nestled into Faye's arms. Sarah was left standing alone, empty-handed, in the middle of the room. She didn't argue again. She just slammed the door on her way out. The silence was suffocating, until my mother-in-law crumbled. She reached for me, sobbing. "I should have believed you. I'm so sorry. All those babies. I'm so sorry." The aftermath came quickly. Catherine, desperate to save her pharmacy license, confessed everything. She gave receipts, text logs, proof that Sarah ordered her to tamper with my vitamins. Sarah's husband filed for emergency custody, divorce, and a restraining order. He handed over more evidence, searches on her computer going back years, things no decent person should ever look up. Her mommy blog? Gone overnight. Someone leaked her journal page by vile page. The internet that once worshipped her as a perfect mother turned on her instantly. Her empire collapsed. The adoption agency called to apologize. They reactivated our application, telling us that, in a strange way, the mountain of fraudulent complaints now showed just how much adversity we could handle. 3 months later, my husband and I stood in a courthouse, holding newborn twins, Charlotte and James, taking back the names Sarah had tried to steal. I looked at them, at my husband's trembling hands as he signed the final papers, and I thought, after everything she took from me, she didn't win. We did. Sarah faced criminal charges for tampering with my vitamins. Her lawyer pushed for a plea deal involving psychiatric treatment instead of prison. Her children thrived with their father, finally free. They even called me Aunt Emma again. She offered to help babysit someday. "I want to be a good big cousin," she said softly. "Not like my mom was a sister." Driving home with our babies strapped in their car seats, my husband squeezed my hand. We'd survived Sarah's war, and somehow come out stronger. Charlotte and James cooed in the back, blissfully unaware. Sarah had tried to steal everything from me. My babies, my reputation, my future. In the end, all she managed to steal was her own life. She was left with nothing but the consequences of her cruelty. But it wasn't over. As we left the courthouse that day, smiling for photos with our twins, my husband suddenly stiffened. Across the street, wearing a baseball cap and oversized sunglasses, stood Sarah. Her posture gave her away instantly. "Don't look," my husband whispered, shifting to block her view of the twins. The photographer suggested we move to the garden. But as we walked away, I heard it. Footsteps pounding the pavement. Sarah had crossed the street. "Those should have been my names to give," she shouted. Security grabbed her before she got close. She screamed about her rights as an aunt as they dragged her off. The twins slept through the entire scene. But I didn't. That afternoon, Sarah's new blog surfaced. She reposted our adoption photos, claiming we were baby thieves. Catherine texted me, warning that Sarah had been at the pharmacy asking questions about infant meds. We installed a doorbell camera, switched pediatricians. Then Sarah broke into her ex-husband's house, stealing photo albums and baby clothes, leaving a note demanding visitation. Days later, she ambushed my husband in a parking garage. He tried to record, but she smashed his phone before the cameras caught her speeding away. A warrant was issued. She ran for a week, hiding with friends, creating fake accounts, spreading lies online. One profile showed edited pictures of her holding my twins, claiming we kidnapped them. My workplace panicked. HR suspended me on leave, saying they had to protect the company. But then Faye called again, whispering into the phone. "Aunt Emma, Mom's outside. She says she has vitamins for the baby. Special ones to make her smart." My blood turned cold. We called police. Minutes later, they arrested Sarah pounding on her ex's door, purse full of unmarked pills. She screamed about her rights as a mother the entire time. 2 nights in jail. Bail granted with an ankle monitor. The pills? Tested positive for sedatives. Enough to add attempted child endangerment to her charges. Her old friends abandoned her one by one. One woman, Patricia, even called me. She caught Sarah digging through her prescriptions at 3 a.m. She also handed over proof Sarah had been creating fake profiles and editing photos on her computer. We added it to the mountain of evidence, now thick enough to fill a banker's box. Meanwhile, our twins thrived. Every smile, every tiny milestone was a victory Sarah could never steal. The adoption agency even flagged Sarah's name in their system. If she ever tried to adopt, they'd be alerted instantly. For the first time in years, I felt safe. But deep down, I knew with Sarah, safety was always temporary. Sarah's next move? She came at us through her lawyer. She was suing for grandparent rights. Can you imagine? She actually claimed we were alienating her from her rightful relationship with the twins. Never mind that she wasn't their grandmother, not biologically, not legally. Our lawyer laughed as soon as he read the filing. "She's grasping at straws," he said. "No judge will touch this." And he was right. The case was thrown out within a week. But Sarah wasn't finished. She started popping up in our daily lives like some twisted shadow. At the grocery store, 50 feet away by the produce aisle. At the park, sitting on a bench, staring at us for an entire hour. Even outside the pediatrician's office, standing just far enough away to not technically break the restraining order. Parents at the park noticed, pulling their children away from her. When one mom asked if we knew her, I said, "Yes, we have a restraining order against her." That rumor spread like wildfire, and suddenly Sarah was the pariah of the playground. So she pivoted. The letters started coming. Each one delivered through her lawyer. Each one wrapped in fake forgiveness but dripping with threats. "I forgive you for turning my family against me. I'm willing to move past the lies if you'll just let me be part of the twins' lives. They need their aunt. Don't make me prove how much." We handed every single letter over to the police. The detective told us they were building a harassment case on top of her existing charges. Then Catherine reached out again, voice tight with nerves. "She's still contacting me," she confessed. "Different numbers, offering me money if I'll tell her about your prescriptions." Catherine sent screenshots. Sarah's texts growing more desperate, the bribes higher and higher. Money she didn't even have, not since her ex froze their accounts. Meanwhile, the divorce was speeding along. Sarah's ex-husband had full custody. She was granted supervised visits at a facility but only showed up once, and wasted the entire time ranting to the kids about lies and conspiracies. Then she never returned. "The kids are in therapy," her ex told us over coffee. Faye especially. "She feels guilty for speaking up." We promised to always reassure her. That little girl had carried a mountain on her back for far too long. 2 months after our adoption was finalized, Sarah made her boldest move yet. She used her maiden name to get hired at a daycare in another town. Somehow, she slipped past the background check. We only found out because a mother recognized her from the blog drama and called the daycare in a panic. They fired her on the spot and reported her to CPS. That violation alone added another charge to her record. Her lawyer finally quit, citing irreconcilable differences. At her next hearing, she represented herself. She showed up in a suit that didn't fit, her hair greasy, her eyes hollow. She rambled for 20 minutes about conspiracies until the judge cut her off. "Miss Sarah," he said sternly, "you need representation. I'm appointing you a public defender." "I don't need help," she barked. "I just need people to listen to the truth." "The truth according to whom?" the judge asked. "According to me. I'm the victim here." The judge ordered a psychiatric evaluation. Sarah stormed out of court screaming about injustice. And in the parking lot, she found us. We had our phones recording this time. "Enjoy them while you can," she hissed, pointing at the twins in their car seats. "You think you've won, but I know things. I know which formula you buy, which diapers you use, where you take them for walks." "Sarah, you're being recorded," my husband said calmly. "And you're violating the restraining order." She laughed, sharp and manic. "Restraining order? That joke? I've violated it a dozen times. Following you is easy, you're so predictable." "Thank you for the confession," I said, ending the recording. Her face went white. She bolted, but court security detained her before she made it to her car. This time, the judge revoked her bail. She would wait for trial behind bars. A week later, her ex brought the kids over. It was the first time they'd met the twins in person. Faye was so gentle, holding bottles with steady hands. James and the younger ones hovered nearby, curious and careful. "Mom's in jail?" little James asked. "Yes, buddy," his dad said softly. "She made bad choices." "Is it our fault?" Charlotte whispered. "No, sweetheart. None of this is your fault. She's sick in her mind, but it's not because of you." We all watched the kids play together, and for the first time I thought this is what family could have been. If only Sarah hadn't poisoned it all. My mother-in-law came by later that week, her face drawn and weary. She looked at the twins sleeping and whispered, "I failed her somehow. Normal people don't do what she did." "You didn't fail her," my husband said firmly. "Sarah made choices. That's on her, not you." We spent the afternoon flipping through old photo albums. Childhood Sarah, smiling in photos, looking almost normal. My mother-in-law pointed to things she'd once brushed off. Rage when she lost games, manipulating cousins, even a classmate who mysteriously got sick after running against her in school elections. "I always made excuses," she admitted. "Called her competitive, driven. I didn't want to see the truth." The trial date was set, 6 months out. The prosecutor felt confident. Catherine's testimony, the journal, Sarah's own confessions. It was airtight, and in the meantime, life settled. Park visits without scanning every corner. Pediatric appointments without fear. Family dinners where Sarah's name wasn't mentioned. The twins grew. Charlotte serious, James full of laughter. They were ours. Safe. The daycare Sarah had infiltrated sent us a letter apologizing. They overhauled their background checks, even offered us free childcare for life. We politely declined. Trust, once broken, isn't so easily given. Catherine texted me one last time. "I'm moving. New job, new state. I can't stay here with what I did hanging over me. Take care of the babies." I didn't reply. Some bridges are ashes. Then, 5 months into Sarah's incarceration, we got shocking news. She was pregnant. Apparently, she'd been seeing someone before her arrest. Now she was facing giving birth in prison. Her ex was devastated. "My kids don't deserve another sibling born into this chaos. Who knows what she took while pregnant?" She wasn't stable. The pregnancy gave her lawyer new ammunition, pushing harder for an insanity defense. But the prosecutor countered with her calculated patterns of behavior. This wasn't madness. It was malice. At pre-trial hearings, she grew more disheveled, her hatred radiating toward us with every stare. One day she snapped, screaming, "They stole my life, my babies, my family." Guards dragged her out as she screamed over her shoulder, "Charlotte and James were supposed to be mine." Then, a month before trial, she went into labor. The baby was born healthy, a girl. Sarah named her Emma. My stomach dropped. Even now, even in prison, she was trying to hurt me. Child Services took the baby immediately. Sarah had no rights left. The little girl went into foster care. Her ex thought about taking her in but ultimately refused. "My kids have been through enough," he said. "I can't bring their half-sister home as a reminder of her mother's destruction." And then the trial began. The sentencing hearing was nothing like the trial. The courtroom felt drained, hushed. Sarah walked in heavily medicated, her movements slow, her expression almost blank. Character witnesses spoke, some clinging to scraps of sympathy, others demanding accountability. Her children weren't there. The judge read the sentence. 15 years, parole possible in 7. She'd serve her time in a facility that combined incarceration with mental health treatment. Not as harsh as the prosecutor pushed for, but far more than her lawyer had begged. As guards led her away, Sarah turned her head one last time. Her voice was low, almost tender. "Take care of my Emma." I froze. Did she mean me? Did she mean her newborn? Maybe both. Maybe neither. We went home to our twins, who ran at us with smiles and open arms. Charlotte said, "Mama," for the first time that night. James stacked blocks proudly until they tumbled. In their laughter, in their joy, the weight of courtrooms and verdicts slipped away. 2 weeks later, the phone rang. Child Services. Baby Emma needed permanent placement. Could we take her? My husband and I locked eyes. The twins were playing on the rug. Charlotte trying to feed James a toy car while he giggled. Innocent, happy, untouched by the storm their aunt had caused. Could we raise Sarah's child? Could we look at her and not see her mother? Could we deny an innocent baby love because of who gave birth to her? That night we talked for hours, circling fear and hope and grief. In the end, love won. 3 months later, baby Emma was ours. We kept her first name but gave her a middle name, Hope. Sarah's children visited often, especially Faye, who became the proud eldest cousin. Their father found happiness again, dating a kind woman who treated the kids gently. Healing was slow but real. My mother-in-law, once broken by guilt, bloomed as a grandmother, doting on every child equally. She never spoke much about Sarah anymore. Just, she's getting help. That's what matters. When the twins turned 2, I returned to work. My boss welcomed me with a promotion, a quiet acknowledgement that I'd navigated chaos with strength. My coworkers threw a party, baby photos on my desk. Life found a rhythm. 3 children under 3, chaos but beautiful chaos. Emma grew, and not once did she resemble her mother. She was pure joy, all softness and light. The twins adored her without question. As they got older, we told them the truth in pieces. About family, about choices, about how love is something you build, not something you're guaranteed. Catherine wrote me once. A long letter from her new life in another state. She was in therapy, working at a hospital, trying to rebuild. I wrote back once, politely. Some forgiveness takes longer than a single letter. Sarah's ex-husband eventually remarried. His kids stood in the wedding glowing. Stability had finally returned to them. Every so often we got updates from Sarah's lawyer. She was taking meds, working in the prison library, cycling through religion, losing it, finding it again. She wrote letters to her children. He kept them sealed, waiting for the day they might want to read. None ever came to us. We were grateful for that. The twins' 5th birthday was a full, wild celebration. Cousins, classmates, neighbors. Faye, now a teenager, helped run games. Sarah's other children sang happy birthday with real joy. Baby Emma, 3 now, blew at the candles with her siblings, her chubby cheeks puffed out. Charlotte corrected her gently. James laughed like always. Even my husband's grandmother, 95, sat in her wheelchair beaming, holding Emma on her lap and whispering stories of the family's better history. That night, after cake and chaos, we tucked 3 tired kids into bed. Charlotte begged for one more story. James wanted extra cuddles. Emma fussed until her blanket was arranged just right. When I closed her door, I thought about Sarah in her cell. Did she think of these children? Did she regret? Or was regret something she wasn't capable of? I'd never know. And I realized I didn't need to. My husband found me in the hallway and hugged me. We'd walk through fire and come out holding something whole. The next morning was just life. Spilled cereal, missing shoes, toy arguments. Charlotte helping Emma with her dress. James sneaking food to the dog. Ordinary, messy, beautiful life. A text buzzed on my phone. Faye asking if she could babysit soon. I smiled. Yes, of course. The cycle of family continued. Not poisoned by manipulation and jealousy, but rebuilt on choice, truth, and love. Sarah had tried to destroy me. Instead, she made me stronger. She thought she was stealing my babies, my future. But in the end, all she did was destroy herself. Because I had my family. A bigger, brighter, stronger family. And she had nothing but the consequences she'd sown. Years later, when the twins started kindergarten, Charlotte lined up her pencils with military precision. James charmed his teacher within minutes, and Emma counted down the days until she could join them. We stood at the bus stop, waving as the doors closed. My husband squeezed my hand. We'd made it. Against everything, we'd made it. That afternoon, while Emma napped, I pulled a box from the closet. Inside were ultrasound photos of the babies I'd lost, the names Sarah tried to steal. For a moment, grief pressed in. Then I added new photos. Charlotte, James, and Emma laughing together in the yard. Life born from loss. Joy built from pain. I closed the box, honored the past, but didn't linger, because the present was too full, too noisy, too demanding, too alive. Emma's voice called from downstairs. Snack time. I smiled, heading down. Sarah's storm had ended. All that remained was our life. Messy, loud, ordinary, and finally beautifully ours.
Thanks for watching. Today's train wreck is over, but tomorrow's ride is already on track. Subscribe so you don't miss it.